boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
The original promo resurfaced of Ben Whittaker signing for Matchroom in 2022. Obviously, Boxer and Sky broke the bank to take Ben, Fraser Clarke, Lauren Price and Carice Argenstall over to Sky. And might not be such a bad thing that he didn't sign with Matchroom, because that promo wouldn't have went down well in the UK. All the money flashing, the ice grill, flashy decadence. Not really something I believe the British boxing fans would take to, with stereotype and pigeonholing pretty badly as a Mayweather knockoff. It wouldn't go down well in the UK. So Ben explained why he left Boxer, wasn't getting regular dates. He said they'd done a great job for him, they put him in a great position, but he said everybody knew that he was eventually going to be a Matchroom fighter. They'd done a new promo modelled after Jerry Maguire, and that's a little more palatable, I believe, for the British market. So he's going to take on Ben GAVAZZI from Germany, 30 years of age, 19-1-0 with 13 inside the distance. This is the WBC Silver Champion, so it's not like they selected an opponent to fight for that belt. Whoever's backing him has paid his sanctioning fees. They're not going to pay the sanctioning fees and back their guy if they believe he's going to lose to Ben Whittaker. There's been some investment in that guy, so they believe he's going to win. The WBC Silver is a route to getting at the major title, so take it for what it is. I'm not here trying to build up GAVAZZI like he's the second coming of Bob Foster and Archie Moore. I haven't even seen him fight, so I don't know what to expect. But I don't think it's a bad fight for Ben Whittaker, who's only had 10 fights. The WBC Silver Champion. It's not too bad. I think that's acceptable for his first fight on his newfound promotional home. NEC Arena Birmingham is where the fight will take place on November the 29th. So, Ben Shalom, his first card on the BBC was going to be TKV versus Fraser Clarke for the vacant British title. That clashed with Frank Warren's October the 25th date, Fabio Wardley versus Joseph Parker. Now, TKV pulled out with a rib injury, and now they've rescheduled the fight on the same date as Ben Whittaker versus GAVAZZI. Is that a coincidence, or is that the only date they could get at the Valiant Ground Derby?
I don't think so, homie. Don't play that.
Ben Whittaker said it's not good for boxing. Frank Warren said pretty much the same thing when they clashed with his date. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to see both cards separately. So now I'm going to have to be juggling both events when I would like to see both of them live separately.
I don't even understand.
Eddie Hearn made light of the issue, saying it was like
Accrington Stanley
trying to compete with Bayern Munich in football. I don't know about that, but it's a shame they had to clash the dates. So Eddie's not threatened by it, and actually he's done a deal with Ben Shalom for Troy Williamson to challenge Callum Simpson for Simpson's European 168-pound title on BBC. So I'm assuming that Hearn has a contract with Troy Williamson or some options. And in all truth, he's doing Ben Shalom a massive favour after what happened with Callum Simpson and the EBU purse bid to fight Kevin Sarjo. Sarjo is now going to fight Matchroom's Diego Pacheco, I believe, in the USA. Before that, the EBU ordered a purse bid for Callum Simpson to defend that title against Sarjo. Now, obviously, with the limited dates that Ben Shalom has, he didn't even put in a bid. Kevin Sarjo's people put in a bid for a paltry €15,000, which Callum Simpson would get 60% of. Obviously, he turned down the fight. Why would Sarjo's people bid so little? Maybe they didn't fancy the fight. They could have got the fight on the cheap, where it would have actually happened, but not at €15,000. So maybe they didn't fancy it. Although Callum was on the canvas twice in June when he won the European title against Ivan Zuko. Williamson won the English title on a Matchroom card recently against Mark Dickinson in a very good fight. Troy was likely down on the scorecards when he landed that right cross and decked Dickinson in the ninth. Then he finished the job. I actually think Callum Simpson is going to maul Troy Williamson, but he'll make a fight of it. But at least Callum has a fight date and Ben has a decent fight to put on the BBC. If Ben couldn't get Callum Simpson a decent fight, Callum would surely have to consider his options like Joshua Boazzi and Ben Whittaker. Then we got another boxer fighter in a purse bid situation which Ben couldn't bid for, The first bid was only $300K for Billy Smith to challenge Roman Fres for the WBO interim title, where nobody could meet the threshold, and they reduced the bid to $150K. And still, boxers didn't show up, so it don't look like they're going to be able to participate in any purse bids of any significant amounts while they're on the BBC. The BBC ain't putting up the dough, not giving them the fight dates. SES Promotions, where I'm assuming Roman Fres fights for, won with a bid of $156,000. Billion would have got the majority of the split, 60%, but he declined. What, not enough money? This guy was talking about he wasn't going to take no less than $1 million to fight Jaya Pattaya. He's having a laugh. So it's real struggle boxing promotions over at Boxer right now. Real struggle.
Struggle to live.
Struggle to live.
Struggle to survive. Struggle.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
We spoke earlier about Bakram Murtazaliev defending his IBF 154-pound title against Josh Kelly on a Matchroom card in January 2026. Now, people were speculating, was Bakram signing to Matchroom or was Josh Kelly? Dan Raphael, he alluded to Josh Kelly's contract with the Wasserman is up. But there's no doubt Eddie Hearn is going to have some options on the winner. Is Eddie trying to fatten up the winner for Boots? Yeah, you bet your boots he is. So I think that's going to be the plan of action. These two are going to duke it out in January. Eddie's going to have Boots face the winner. And then later, 2026, if Virgil Ortiz gets past Lubin, then we'll get the big showdown between Virgil and Boots. But there's a lot that's got to happen between them two fighting before we get to that. Sauerland's Channel 5 contract is up. Chloe Watson, Sauerland fighter, she was on the York Hall the other day, losing to Shannon Ryan on the Matchroom card. Josh Kelly is fighting on the Matchroom card next against Bakram. He was contracted to the Sauerlands on Channel 5. And you got Lyndon Arthur. He takes on Bradley Ray on Saturday for the European title. He was contracted to the Sauerlands. Now he's on the Frank Warren card. It's hard times out there. It's not just Ben Shalom. Are Sauerlands trying to get that Sky Sports gig? Are Sky Sports interested? You look at Murtazaliev versus Josh Kelly is on a Matchroom card, and I thought Eddie was just dealing with Kathy DUVA. But no, it's Louis DeCuba, Kathy DUVA, obviously Sauerland's not involved, and between DUVA and Louis DeCubas in America, this should be a simple fight to put on. Between DeCubas and Kathy DUVA, they can't put on a standard sanctioning belt world title fight in America. They have to do it in England on a Matchroom card. Let me tell you something, right? And I'm not fanboying for Dana. You know what I mean? Like, why anyone thinks I've got any special selective bias for Dana baffles me. You need to tell me why that would be, because I'm really not understanding that. But what I'm saying is, he is not the biggest issue in American boxing. And people who are trying to tell you he is are lying. Plain and simple.
I kicked it plain and simple. I kicked it plain and simple.
Actually had a few people in the comment section back in Josh Kelly to expose Bakram Murtazaliev, the new boogeyman. Now, I didn't buy into all the
Gangsta boogie.
but I do think he'll beat Josh Kelly. Kelly just doesn't have the power to hold someone off like that. If Kelly couldn't get past Avanesian, I don't think he gets past this guy. I don't see it. Has Kelly made the improvements with Adam Booth? But hey, Josh has got hometown advantage. And yeah, I think Murtazaliev is a little overrated. Not saying he can't fight, but I think he's a little unproven. The Tim Tszyu win, considering Tim was coming off a loss, it was a good win. It was a good win. Boots is also the WBA interim champion, so the Barrow fight is also an option. So Eddie's just lining them up, lining up the options. Murtazaliev, Abbas Barrow, WBA champion. Boots is the interim champion. Barrow was fighting a lot on Channel 5 cards with the Sauerlands, but he's since become a world champion, and the Sauerlands are frozen out. The promotion game is very, very tough.
So why is it got to be so damn tough?
Some people believe Boots isn't going to fight none of these champions. He's just going to bottle all the fights.
I don't believe it.
I think he's a good bet to pick up a belt at 154. But just like with anyone at 154, it's an unproven division. There are no standout players at 154. It's all to play for. One of my brethren, he wants to see Boots if he fights in London like they're talking he could next year. Apparently he's going to turn up at Eubank Ben in Tottenham. And yeah, I might want to see him live if he flies over, especially if they got a decent opponent for him.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
We're in talks with PBC now, with Al Heyman, with Louis. We're gonna make it happen for sure, man. It's about that time that I get back to my city. You know what I'm saying? This is Brooklyn, man. I was born and raised here. I'll pack this shit out like nothing. You know what I'm saying? And with the right opponent, the right build-up, I'll pack this shit out.
Back in July, Edgar Berlanga made a big deal about him being the headline act over Shakur Stevenson, who's a world champion. That was before he got knocked out in the 5th by Hamza SHEERAZ. Perhaps he should have been more concerned about his opponent than headlining, outshining Shakur. Didn't take the loss very well. There was accusations that SHEERAZ's gloves were doctored, burnt bridges with Eddie Hearn. So what's happened to being a free agent? Perhaps the phone is not ringing as much as he thought it would. So left Top Rank, left Matchroom, and now he's talking to the PBC. Not exactly bursting with life in terms of putting out cards to PBC. He reckons that he and Caleb Plant right now would sell out the Barclays Center.
I don't think so. Homie, don't play that.
Homie, don't play that. Homie, don't play that.
I somehow doubt that. But then again, maybe Caleb and the Puerto Rican kid are massive draws. He spoke about him and Jaime Munguia being a big fight. That could potentially be a big fight. I believe Jaime got his PED conviction overturned, so he's good to go. He better not burn no bridges at the PBC. Nowhere to go after that. I don't think America take him seriously, though. Is there a curiosity to want to see him fight, even if it's to see him get beaten up? He could be one of them guys, though, who's a casualty. He got a taste of that Ring Magazine turkey money. But there's no more blagging that he's something that he's not. No one's going to buy it. If you go over to the PBC, they're only putting pay-per-view out. Caleb Plant, Berlanga, pay-per-view. The last time I saw Caleb Plant, he lost to Resendez. That was another name that Edgar was talking about fighting. He also mentioned the Charlos. Hey, look, it's good that the defeat hasn't made him retreat into his shell. He's still trying to get significant fights. Sometimes I dislike Edgar, but sometimes he makes me laugh. He's funny. The game does need characters. Sometimes he goes a little too far with it. And I don't want to co-sign him to being a hype job. He's still young, but in the back of my mind, I see him knocking over a few opponents. Maybe not even too bad, the level of opponent, but anyone with any promise, potential, he's likely to get bowled over again. Now, the way he was weaving some of SHEERAZ's shots and countering, there's a little potential there. But he's got to really buckle down, tone down the wannabe mafioso thing, and knuckle down on his pugilism.
Great outlook on life. Look, let's talk to the boxing. Coming off what was a brilliant performance from Richardson, Hitchins, what sort of came away from that was the headline about the free agent stuff. Now, from my understanding, obviously, the fighter knows, you'll have known, that was his last fight. Yeah. Is what annoyed you not the fact that he was a free agent, but the fact that he took that opportunity to then publicise it? Is that what irks you?
That's the only thing that irked me. Everybody's aware of the contractual position, and we've had a great relationship, and I think, and I hope this is still the case, everybody's committed to moving forward together. Our job, we couldn't have done any more for Richardson Hitchins. I mean, he even said, they've changed my life. But what annoyed me is the fact that someone told him to say it, and that he said it. Do you know what I mean? I don't necessarily blame Richardson. You just need a little bit of class. When someone's done that for you, or you've had that relationship, if we all sit down and we can't agree a deal, and he says, look, I've got this opportunity, I want to say thank you so much for everything, but I'm going to move on. That's absolutely no problem. But to do that in the ring after the best and biggest moment of your career that we've all worked towards to get to that position just didn't sit very well with me. And I'm not the kind of person...
Like Keith Connolly, did he put the battery in Edgar Berlanga's back to start talking crap about Eddie Hearn? Because right now, Edgar Berlanga could do with being on DAZN rather than waiting for fight dates on the PBC that may eventually come, but when? It's slowed down to a snail's pace over there. On the clip I just played from Berlanga, he said he's working with Louis DECUBAS. Well, who is Louis DECUBAS working with? He's working with Eddie Hearn to put fights on Eddie Hearn's cards. I don't think it was down to Edgar to start blabbing that he's a free agent, we don't want to mess with Eddie no more. I think Keith played a part in that, which he's totally in his right to do, of course. Now, Keith is managing this guy who people view as a hype job with a big mouth, But Edgar's talking about he's a free agent. And then the next month after that, after Hitchins beat Kambosos, defending his IBF title, he screams out, post-fight in the ring, I'm a free agent, which got Eddie's back up. Both Hitchins and Berlanga are managed by Connolly. Eddie said that Hitchins told him that someone told him to say that. Hitchins half apologized to Eddie after that, admitting that Matchroom did a great job for him. Turkey, in no uncertain terms, he told Richardson that he's not doing business with these guys if they're free agents. Approach with a promoter or forget about it.
Forget about it.
And you have to wonder, what is Keith Connolly doing? Anyone heard anything about Richardson Hitchins' next fight date? I haven't. Where's he going to go? PBC? Now, I'm not trying to say Eddie Hearn is the only promoter in the game. Richardson will get a gig because he's champion. So he'll get a fight. But Berlanga, why would you burn them bridges? What is Keith Connolly doing? Hopefully he's not using his fighters to get in some personal gripe he might have with Eddie Hearn. Hopefully he's not doing that. Maybe he thought he could just cut out Eddie Hearn and start making deals with Turkey. In my opinion, it's bad management. It's a massive oversight. And it's testament to his ego. That must be way out of control. Recently, Turkey has done a deal with Eddie with boxing, darts, and snooker. Turkey's not just going to burn that bridge like that. Bad management, Keith Connolly. Bad management.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.